stand if we do that. All right. You guys don't get started immediately when you get to work, right? All right. Welcome to the show. I know a lot of you have been looking forward to Rachel's big comeback. So she is extremely excited about being with you tonight. She has an amazing show. We've run through it multiple times, and it's different every time, and that's part of her magic. She's telling stories about her life, and they change all the time. So it's fantastic. I think you're gonna love it. My name is Jeff Rosenblatt. If you don't know, I'm Rachel's writing partner, among many other things. I'm also a writer, novelist. I have some books available. I would be very bad if I wasn't promoting them. So since this is an estrogen-heavy show, we thought we might bring in some testosterone. And since I'm a writer, I actually like to look at themes. So this is kind of what we'll do. You know what? You're not going to hold this against me. All right. So I'm not actually the prime example of testosterone. A lot of people have actually thought I'm gay. I am clean. I'm neat. I'm polite. I'm not gay. I'm Canadian. Just ask me I'm going to translate that into Californian. I identify as Canadian. Which means that I can use whatever bathroom I want, but I'm not going to clean it up and then apologize after. So, I'm a first generation, fresh off the U-Haul immigrant. And as your representative immigrant, I don't know if I'm the only one in here, but I didn't get a memo from anybody else, so I'm not sure. I want to clear up some misconceptions. We are actually here to take your jobs, and your women, and your wallets. So we have a bin at the back. So put them in there. You don't want my fellow bad hombres to come after you. So the majority of my family still lives in Canada. There is an armed border between us. That works really well. My father is actually gay. He's gay and Canadian. My mother is clinically insane. And my grandparents were all raging alcoholics. So my family crest was a Canadian club label. So my dad came out when I was a teenager. He didn't actually come out. I walked in on him, and he and his significant other. So if anybody has walked in on their parents, picture that. It took him a long time to embrace this. Because it lives here. It lives here and it doesn't go away. So it took him a long time to embrace his homosexuality. I'm really proud of him that he has. He had a long-term partner for about 30 years who just passed away this past year. So that was very sad. But he's getting back out there. He went to his first gay pride parade, and he's 75 years old. He's not really the generation that is accepting of his own homosexuality. And so he called me up. He said, I really because he's Canadian, I really enjoyed this, but why do they have to be so flamboyant? Like he's giving a cancer diagnosis. So I also have a medical condition called fibromyalgia. Anybody else? Anybody else? We can't raise our hands. That's part of it. So if you don't know what it is, don't worry. Neither do my doctors. Nobody knows what it is. Nobody knows what causes it. Nobody knows anything. So the best way I can describe it is to combine the worst flu you've ever had with the worst period you've ever had. Or, gentlemen, getting kicked in the balls repeatedly by a big guy named Gunther. That is every day. So So fibro is about being in pain and being exhausted all the time, and weird things happen as well, like sweating, not being able to control my body temperature. I mean, my sweat glands are like the Oroville Dam. There is nothing holding them back. Too soon? Sometimes I can't remember where I am. I remember where I am right now, but that's a phenomenon called fibro-fog, where we kind of lose our ability for cognition. So I've gotten lost on my way home twice. I travel this road every day, but I've gotten lost. But at least I didn't end up in Fresno, so that was a good thing. I was on opioids as well for a number of years because there are two treatments: antidepressants and opioids. And opioids. Yeah. So that shit'll kick your ass. Don't do that. That's very bad. It's terrible stuff. So one of the problems with being somebody who actually needs opioids is all the people who don't need opioids and are taking it, they fuck it up for me. Yeah. So I had to go to, I'm not on it anymore because of the stigma and because it stopped working. You have to keep getting more and more. But I would go to the pharmacist, and I would have to pass a urine test. Actually had to do urine tests to make sure that I was taking the drug. And I would have to give them my ID. I'd have to sign away whatever future children I was going to have, which is fine. I have a daughter already, so I don't really need anything like that. So there's a real stigma associated with it. Wait a second. Did gay Johnny Cash just say that he's an immigrant and he did opioids? I am the poster child for everything that's wrong in this country. I am practically a piñata at a Trump rally. Don't worry, there are no piñatas at a Trump rally. So I've tried just about everything for fibro relief. Acupuncture, massage, physical therapy, any kind of elixir that you can imagine, diets. But I'm the one person in the world for whom pot doesn't work. I have no problem with pot. Literally everybody I know is doing pot. I wish, thank you. Some are doing it right now. I want nothing more than to be part of peer pressure. I want to have my brain eggs fried in the frying pan. This is what I want more than anything, but it doesn't work for me. So I spent most of my time in America in the Midwest. Thank you, sympathy. I lived in the actual small town from the Mellencamp song. Mellencamp lived in my town. That is how Mellencamp, my Midwest town, was. I saw him. He was a horrible, horrible man. Smelled terrible. If you've never been, Indiana is where they keep the corn. All the corn. It's actually how they tell time. Corn's yay high. It's June 14th. Corn's yay high. July 17th, 4 p.m. So we have a place in the Midwest called Golden Corral.
Oh yeah.
You have Golden Corral here, but you're not doing it properly. Golden Corral in Indiana is considered a night out. Your mind's taking you to the corral, baby. Put on your best bands. It's a restaurant named after the place they keep livestock. I'm going to get more sympathy here. I was in Sacramento before I came to the Bay. So Sacramento is California's Indiana. Ooh. Yeah, whatever. So the best thing about Sacramento is it isn't Fresno. I've never been to Fresno. I have nothing personal against Fresno. Steve Perry lives in Fresno, but I don't want to go to Fresno. So I'm relatively new to California. Just been here a couple of years. Until I moved here, my only frame of reference came from the greatest American hero, the A-Team, and Chips. That's all I knew about California. So I am the only guy who gets excited when there's a CHP bike behind me, because I am desperately hoping for punch and jump. So I've been alone out here for a long time. Has anybody ever been so frustrated with your own company that you want to take out a restraining order against yourself? Where being alone is like being, the last shelf at Blockbuster on a Friday night, and Blockbuster's been closed for 20 years. So I live alone, and I watch a lot of Law and Order SVU. So the good ones would live in Elliott. I'm not a Rollins era fan. I like the old stuff. But what SVU has taught me is that when shit goes down, I have no alibi as a person living alone. So a couple of differences between Indiana and the Bay. First, no, not as much corn. Second are the vehicles. In Indiana, we have tractors. Schools actually have Take Your Tractor to School Day. They do this proudly. So when I first came out here, I was really cognizant of not hitting the vehicles like Porsches and Land Rovers and things like that. And then I did some research. Fuck the Land Rover, don't hit the Tesla. So the other thing are the vegans. Any vegans in the audience tonight? So you would have announced yourselves already. So we had vegans in Indiana, but not like you guys do out here. So veganism is the only dietary choice that needs to be announced. I am vegan! Although they don't generally have that much energy. So the whole thing's a little cult-like. Everybody is trying to make you a vegan. You want to be, join us with the vegan. Another big difference with the vegans in Indiana and the vegans out here is your vegans are angry and aggressive. I would probably be angry and aggressive if I ate roots and berries too. I have no idea what people eat. So I'm pretty sure people will tell me later. So if California ever does secede from the country, I think we put the vegans at the border because they're so pissed off anyway, no one's going to come through. So I love animals. I have 2 cats, but I also love steak. And so that's my dilemma. But I reconcile it by saying I have cats, I don't have cows. I eat cows, I don't eat cats. Or haven't yet, we'll wait and see. Alright, so when I first came out to California, I agreed to let a male coworker of my former wife rent a place in my house where my wife was living. The guy was apparently in the middle of a divorce. Give me a second. It's worth it. Yeah. That's better. So apparently the guy was in the middle of a divorce, and he needed a place to stay. Plus I'm what do my Jewish friends call it? I'm a schmuck, a schlemiel, a schmendrick. I love how my Jewish friends have so many different words for fucking idiot. Okay, so I have a feeling some of you may be getting ahead of me. Oh yeah, so of course my wife fucked the tenant. Of course she did. So yeah, I tried to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. I thought maybe he thought I was running an air TNA. So at the very least, some sort of health code violation. Sorry. Yeah, this is funny. My death is funny. Thank you. So I started video games that mask as dating apps. I mean, there are some similarities. You've created an avatar for yourself. You create phoniness. The more money you spend on in-app purchases, the higher you level up. And most people who play the dating games are actually shut-ins too. So I was on the Tinder, and yes, people my age add "the" to technology, kind of like we're giving directions on LA freeways. We're on the Tinder, now we're going to the Facebook. You take the Facebook over to the Twitter. So I chose the Tinder because it was, it was the easiest for Grandpa to use. I later learned the actual purpose of Tinder. A millennial friend who's here tonight pointed it out to me.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So that's the thing with millennials. They're pretty mouthy for people who live in their parents' basements. So at my age, I don't date girls. I date women. I date mature women.
Woo! Yeah.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
So I have a 26-year-old daughter. I had her when I was 4. So I met my daughter's friends. We're all good. The last thing I want to do is talk about which Twilight character is the dreamiest. I'm Team Edward, but that's beside the point.
Me too.
So online dating has a particular vernacular. Hiking is a big activity that people pretend they like to do. And wine tasting. And boating. Apparently there are these massive Tinder regattas going on. Everybody's on a boat. I don't know what's... So I also read a lot of profiles where the people would say something like, I'm not into hookups. I am into a serious romance. Now, here are my boobs. And a lot of people were looking for partners in crime. That's the big catchphrase on these dating apps now, on the Tinder especially. So I just see that as work. Like I'm just trying to go on a date. Why do I have to help commit felonies? And do we meet for dinner and then shiv the waiter the ribs? Done that, by the way. So luckily I'm off that train now. I wasn't on it very long, but I managed to get catfished 3 separate times. Anybody know what catfishing is? Yeah, so it's made popular by that MTV show with Neve and Murray or whatever the hell. Woo! Yes, it's Matt. I know it's Matt. So people online to pretend to be other people, someone they're not. I'm really not dying. They usually end up asking for money or something like that. So I knew what I was looking for, so I let each scenario play out. And there would be giveaways. There would be European English and things like that. So I decided at the end of each one to give them an exit interview. And I went through and I told them systematically what they had done wrong. If you're supposed to be someone from the Midwest, don't ask for money in euros. Trust me, Midwesterners can't spell euro, let alone know the currency. I'm dating an amazing woman right now. Love of my life. No joke. She's actually in the back corner. We met on the Tinder. But we were both actually looking for the same thing, which was not what the Tinder was for. So, dream big. It happens. Not all the time. Don't look for this. So, she's a college student. Relax, she's an adult. She went back to college. And she is a former Catholic schoolgirl. So I now need to invent a time machine and go back in time to tell my my younger self that yeah, it actually gets better, a lot better. So last story, I almost killed Jim Lovell, the astronaut. We all know Jim Lovell. Houston, we have a problem, the real one. So I was born on July 20th, 1969. Anybody know what that day is?
First man walked on the moon.
That's right. Yes, Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. So for my 40th birthday, I was able to get tickets to the big 40th anniversary event in Washington, D.C. All the astronauts were there. Neil Armstrong, before he died. They don't tend to roll him out as much anymore since he died. Crazy Buzz Aldrin was there. Michael Collins, the one nobody knows about, but he was alone in space around the moon. John Glenn was there. It was fantastic. Ever since I was a kid, because of my birthday, I had a picture of the Apollo 11 crew above my crib, and then above my beds in my room, things like that. So I've seen these guys. You know, there are the Catholics will have pictures of, you know, Jesus or the Pope. This was what the same thing was. So I knew I couldn't meet them. You should never actually introduce yourself to God. It never ends well. For anybody, I hear. So sitting in the row right in front of me, I kind of saw the side of his face and I recognized that it was Jim Lovell. I don't know what your picture of Jim Lovell is. I imagine it's Tom Hanks, you know, happy, gorgeous, hunky Tommy. Jim Lovell is 780 years old. He's a really old man. Terribly old. So he had a person, he had a nurse maid. That was helping him sit down and then helping him get up. After the ceremony, he got up, and was helped down toward the stairs. I knew I had to take my chance. I had to go and actually shake an astronaut's hand. And so I walked over to him. He's about to take a step. I put my hand on him. He spun around like I had cut the line of the Golden Corral. Nearly took it down the stairs. Luckily, his nurse maid grabbed him. This is a totally true story. So I was thinking about that afterwards. This guy lived for 4 days in the vacuum of space. He was putting together filters out of socks and duct tape, and eventually came back to Earth, and we had no idea he was going to live. If I had killed Jim Lovell, do you know what kind of a God complex I would have had? That would have been the greatest thing. I would have been able to do something that space couldn't do. For a guy born on July 20, 1969, that is a big thing. Thank you. I appreciate it.